Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. And it's Tuesday, so you don't really know what that means because this is the first time we're doing this show. As always, I'm your host, Dave Wonder, or Dave Wheeler, I guess, tonight, because we're kind of stripping things back a little bit from the whole YouTube persona thing, I guess. But tonight is all about having a fun conversation as usual. But tonight I am joined by one of my very favorite people in this whole wide world, a dude that I've been trying to get back on here, and I'm glad to have him. You know him as well. Some of you know him as Toy Galaxy, but you should know him as Dan Larson. So welcome, Dan. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me on. Toy Galaxy, Secret Galaxy, it's all the same. It all wears the same.
But legit, I put this up and people are like, oh shit, Toy Galaxy's coming on. I'm like, he has a name.
Yeah. I say it at the beginning of every video for the last 8 years, 9 years. What are we on? We're in year 9. That's what
I was like, you're coming up on a decade, man.
Wow. April 2025, that'll be 10 years.
Dang, that's wild.
Yeah, it really is. It's insane.
Apparently I'm in comic store jail. No, this isn't comic store jail. This is the studio. This is just where I'm at. Also, big shout out to the COJ already chiming off in the chat. Also, big welcome to one of my buds who used to be a store runner around here, and someone I love dearly, my good friend Sage and his wife Annie. They don't get to pop on the lives very often, so what's going on? Two Galaxy, yeah.
Mr. Ryan Clark goes way back. He was watching Twitch live streams of ours.
Brian, no, wait. Dave, ask him my Beetlejuice.
You'll have to decode that one for me.
I'm working on it. Anyways, tonight we're here just to have a fun conversation. I had pitched to Dan one thing that is something that we share in common is that we both are indie comics guys. I'm still in the trenches with that. Dan was smart and moved on from that.
I still do artwork.
I was going to say, he's still a fantastic artist and creator, obviously. You know his content. But the question that I was posed this last week in Des Moines Con was, as a comic creator, how did that affect you as a collector? Like, what did it push you towards certain things? Did it take you away from certain things? I know indie comics aren't exactly a fiscal boom job by any stretch of the imagination, but I just kind of wanted to pose that question to you.
So you were sitting on a panel and somebody just asked you that question randomly, or was it at your booth?
Yeah, no, I did a panel. I do a Let's Talk Toys panel, so I go in. Actually, shout out to Dan from Action Figure Insider, who came up to be an impromptu panelist with me, which was great. And yeah, that was one of the questions, and I didn't know how to answer at first because I'm like, well, it's just kind of something that I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, collecting wasn't the main thing. It was just part of who I was. It's like, oh, that's cool. I just usually didn't have the money to pick up half this stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, at that age, as a kid, it's an affordable entertainment medium.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of part of the social interaction of, at least it was for me. All of my friends were collecting comics and reading comics and that stuff. And I think it's more common than not that people who are into comics have a certain desire to make them at a certain point. And, and when I say all my friends, that's like 6 people. we're all into comics and we would all write and draw our own stuff and make our own characters. And that, all of those things just kind of bleed together and overlap as far as what my interests were. Having action figures is just another way to come up with your own stories, come up with your own characters, tell your own stories. Some lines are better for that than others, but it was all the same for me.
It was a medium.
Yeah, absolutely. Something for you to, just to drive your imagination. And, if you're any kid that's got toys of any kind, action figures, especially that have some sort of character to them, they're making their own stories, and that sort of imaginative play automatically becomes, okay, now I'm a little older and I've got paper and pen and I'm stuck in math class or science class or any class, or I'm just a place I don't want to be. I'm at a relative's house. I don't want to be here. Or I'm at some event. Then you have all you need right there in front of you. Pencil, paper, start, create adventures, create characters, do that sort of thing.
Just switch the means of telling the story. Because I remember these guys and monsters in my pocket were big, because you could have about 6 of them in your pocket without looking conspicuous, when you were going places.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but that was always something that I found interesting because, I mean, that's definitely where I know that's where my storytelling or love of storytelling started was, with toys and comic books. I mean, I was read comic books from a very young age because of my brother and my dad. They were I'm the youngest, so they are just like, bedtime story, huh? So there's this kid, Jason Todd, and he's gonna
Yeah.
steal the rims off the Batmobile. It's like, let's go. Okay, what are rims?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the Batman and Robin were a big thing. Spider-Man was a big deal. And then, being able to all of a sudden have something in hand and being able to convey that another way. Like you said, it became a way to convey those same stories, but when you couldn't have those lovely pieces of plastic in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep bringing the eye back here. These prints are for sale on my website,
Woo!
secretgalaxy.shop, if you want to buy one. Colors by Eric Canetti. I just did the line art for it, although there is a line art version on the website as well. The characters in this picture are all they're all wearing masks, right? Like they're all
Yep.
anonymous to a certain extent. Obviously, they all have identities except for maybe Warduke. I mean, we know who
Yeah.
Boba Fett is now, but we didn't back then when
There
I
was
was
nothing
playing with
back
the
in the
action
day.
figures. He was just a mysterious character, and those are the kinds of characters, especially back then, that I was really drawn to because you could put your own identity on them. You could change them into whoever you wanted them to be. For me, Boba Fett. Most of the time, I was messing with a Boba Fett action figure. Yeah, you got there. You go.
There we go. I figured this way you can see it a little
Yeah,
bit bigger.
thanks. Most of the time when I was, playing with toys and stuff, Boba Fett was either just a random space guy, or
Yeah.
like a diver or an explorer or just, some kind of adventurer because that action figure, first off, didn't look anything like the guy that was in the movie.
Yeah.
The colors weren't the same, the outfit wasn't the same. They were both just called Boba Fett. And then, Snake Eyes, mysterious guy by design. Yes, he had a story in the cartoon. Yes, he had a story in the comics. But the nature of that action figure was one that you could just put whatever identity on that you wanted to. If you weren't reading the comics and watching the cartoon, which I wasn't for a long time when that first
Yeah.
Snake Eyes figure had come out, you had plenty of time to just develop whoever you wanted to be. Whoever you wanted that character to be and what their adventures were. Matt Tracker, full head mask. Warduke, full head mask. Like these are all characters that you can just put your own stories into and use them however you want.
That was half the fun too. Like I remember as a kid, my brother had GI Joes. He's 5 years older than me. Born in '82, so like he was right in that sweet spot for those. But like to me, Snake Eyes was just a ninja. I was like, Snake Eyes could be whatever. Like you said, there was that anonymity where it's like, okay, put an identity with them.
Yeah.
Other toys represented every which character. I remember I had a Secret Wars Magneto, and for some odd reason, that was our Gambit because we didn't have
Perfect.
a Gambit. But you know
Perfect.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that was half the fun. Like, and it's one of those weird things of I almost miss that lack of I don't even know.
Specificity.
Yeah, like there's such a locked concept for so many characters now where it's like, brown suit Wolverine Secret Wars, that was Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Like,
nice. Yeah, no, I'll
yeah.
say this. One of the things my wife doesn't like about the current action figure industry is all of the face printing and the
Mhm.
highly detailed sculpts and all of these sorts of things because it makes it too specific to that character. And I know that's obviously what they're going for. You want Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
to look like Mark Hamill, but it takes away that sort of vague gray kind of,
The softness.
yeah, finish the details with your imagination aspect of more vintage action figures or more generic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, in terms of when you make that cross from I'm an action figure collector or I watch cartoons or stuff, and now I'm going to start drawing my own comics, making my own comics, those sorts of things. Characters with masks way easier to draw than a human
Oh God,
face.
yeah.
Human faces are hard. What is this nose? How do you draw
Yeah.
a nose? It's
How
impossible.
does it turn? What's
Yeah,
what?
it looks different from every angle. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Son of a gun. It's like meanwhile on Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like that, and I think that's one of the fun things about collecting though too, is because I think there's that certain, like I think of more like music collectors where they go, oh, I really like listening to vinyl because it has that certain warmth. I go back to like toy lines like Secret Wars, even Mask. I mean, Mask. If you think about Mask, those sculpts were incredible
Yeah,
for
really
that.
great.
Like, I mean, especially even at that scale. Like that was the thing. Like, because it was that and like Sky Raiders. I think that
Sky
were
Commanders.
Sky Commanders. There we go. They were similar size, but it was just that thing
Yeah.
of like, okay, I had a Sky Commander that was our Ant-Man because he was small.
Oh, nice. That's
Uh,
perfect. Thinking
so
outside the box. Yeah.
same thing. But like I look back at those with such a fondness because those to me were these giants. Like those were that was everything. You didn't have 35 different Wolverines you could choose from, or 72 Spider-Mans. It was I got that one.
Yeah, for sure. Mask, Sky Commanders, Bone Age, and Dino Riders were all sort of right around that same period, and you had that crossover potential of those 2.5-inch, 3-inch action figures, whatever they were.
I always remember my cousin had Dino Riders figure. He specifically had what was it? The Brontosaurus, Brontosaurus,
I
the
don't
long
remember
neck.
exactly.
Anyways, the dinosaur died a horrible, tragic death because it was just so fragile. But he had those figures, and he had the neck, like the like headpiece. And I just remember he used to like
Puppet it.
yeah, like it was this morbid.
That's more. Yeah, I was gonna say that's morbid. That's the word that comes
Yeah,
to mind.
but as a little kid, like I remember he had the Fright Zone too. So that was the monster from the Fright Zone because that puppet
Oh,
just
I love
deteriorated.
it. I love the creativity. I love the ability of kids to just cope, get whatever, something's
Yeah,
broken, something's missing. I don't have a figure. I know
the
for
next.
most people that collected vintage Star Wars back in the day, almost nobody actually had R2D2. Everybody had R5. And so R5 was everybody's R2D2.
Yeah, it
and
functioned. It worked.
and if you didn't have a C3PO, Death Star droid was your C3PO.
Yep.
Who cares? It was all the same in your mind, and you just
Yeah.
wherever you
And
needed to go with it.
but that was the fun. It could be that. Like you weren't
Sure.
just like, dang, I don't have this.
But hey, that's part of the what still drives my action figure collecting to this day. A lot of the figures that I'm attracted to. This is the brand new Mythic Legions, or excuse me, Cosmic Legions
Yeah.
Tusk pilot or whatever he is. But he's got an unhelmeted alien head that I'm never going to put on this figure because I like the mystery. I like the anonymity of that helmeted masked head, and you don't know who that is under there, or I do, and I'm not going to tell you because I already have a plan for this character and who it's going to be on the shelf. A ton of the figures I collect are just not specific humanoid faces.
Oh, that was crap. I can't remember his name now. That was at the show this past weekend. Like when you're running through the show floor, like back and forth to panels and stuff like that, you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, what the hell is that? It was a Kamen Rider figure, but it was hot pink and neon green with a D-pad, like a controller on his chest. And I was like, I want that.
And you don't even need to know what his story is.
I had no idea. And I like finally on the last day I went back and they had already packed it up. I was like, no, but I tracked one down online and it may be here for next week. But it was just that thing of like for me I'm a big like color palette guy. Like if a toy has cool colors to it, like it pops. Like actually a good transition. Some of those action figures that you happen to be participating in, however you would like to put it, the colors, the shapes, the look is there, and it just hits so hard. And like I don't know, that's fun. Like that's why I love toys. For me, it makes this crazy color palette in here. When it doesn't look like a junkyard. But even these Mondo turtle boxes, I should probably throw those away, but they're so bright and like they make a fun piece to the backdrop.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Sure.
But do you want to talk about your figures? Which is
I can, sure, absolutely, yeah. No,
man.
we it all started from for years and years and years. People have been asking, what do you want to make for action figures? Are you ever going to make your own action figure line? Who would you make? What would you make? And my answer was always like, that's not my business. That's not what I'm really doing. I didn't get into action figures because I wanted to make my own. I got into action figures just because I was a kid and liked action figures, and they always just, I was more interested in the idea of action figures and being a fan of how they evolved over the years, the types of articulation, the engineering. and the different characters that, you know, fired my imagination, that sort of thing.
For sure.
And as the channel grew, it was never about,
Fun.
you know, wanting to make my own stuff. It was about supporting, you know, other brands that I could. Obviously, I was always going to be a fan of like Hasbro and Mattel and Playmates and those kinds of things. But I also wanted to be able to use our increasingly large platform to shine a light on the indie brands and the people that I thought were just doing interesting, non-mainstream work, you know, and all of these Glyos brands like Toy Pizza and Mighty Maniacs and these things that are out there.
And
I found them fascinating.
Yeah, no, and this does use the Glio system, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mighty Maniacs is all Glyos based. Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought. It's easier to just confirm. I'm working on, there will be a stream hopefully end of June-ish. Good old Galaxor and God Beast will be coming on here.
Nice.
Having a little conversation. If I'll get you the info if you want to pop in.
Awesome.
Give a plug ski, because
for those that don't know, Glyos is just it's a joint system. That's all it is. So every joint on this figure can be detached, and there's a pin and a pinhole, and it's the same size pin and pinhole on every single figure that uses the Glyos system. So those parts are interchangeable across any line. Mighty Maniacs, Toy Pizza, God Beast stuff, a Galaxor, anything. So the customization potential is through the roof. It's also points of articulation. There's a joint in the neck, there's shoulders, there's wrists, there's calves, waist, that sort of thing. Depending on what kind of figure you're looking to sort of kit bash, there are elbows, there's knees out there. Jesse DeStasio of Toy Pizza has put out his Gauss armor or Gauss armor. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I think it's Gauss, Gauss. And that's got, like, you know, more traditional articulated joints. So there's complexity out there if that's what you want. But for this, you know, producer Greg and I, you know, the channel had gotten to a point where it's like we had several years under our belt where things were production was a sort of expected schedule, right? Like it was just this weekly grind, research, write, record, edit, start over again next week. So, you know, in the last 2-3 years, we've gotten to this point where it's like, okay, it's basically on cruise control. Are there some pockets of time here and there where we can start to develop some projects outside the show specifically? And, you know, for Greg, that means working on our Halloween specials, writing those scripts, editing those films, casting, you know, location scouting, taking a week to actually shoot them. That's what House on Coffin Brook Road was last year. And then we're already working on our Halloween special for this year. And for me, that meant, you know, seeing if I could actually make some figures. And it just made sense to reach out to people. Like, I don't need to reinvent the wheel on any of this, you know, like, you know how long it takes to get an action figure made from concept to in your hand. Best case scenario is 18 months. Best case scenario.
And the crazy, especially if there's articulation in the scheme.
Sure.
Like, it's that very strange thing where now the stuff that I worked on for Boss Fight, like two years ago now, is coming. It's on the boat. It's expected by end of the month. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Like, I want to get them in hand. I'm so stoked for those.
So I've been following, you know, Kickstarters for years and all this, and just seeing all the, goodness gracious, all the potential just things that can happen to just tear your company apart and make you a pariah in the community. And I was like, why would I ever want to get into any of that nonsense? No, thank you.
Remind me, I have a story about Shocker Toys that I don't think I can tell on the stream.
Yikes.
That was my first experience in the toy design industry.
So for me, it just made sense to reach out to people who already knew what they were doing and say,
and do a damn fine job.
Let's look as just as an experiment. Let me see if we can get something made. Let's see if the audience is interested in this. And so let me just take what already exists, what you've already built, slap a new coat of paint on it. Put it in a box with my brand on it, and we'll see what happens, you know? And so we kicked it off with it's the SG line, the Secret Gear line of action figures in SG01. That's the one there. Came out this earlier this year. It was a very limited run of 125 pieces, and it sold out very quickly. The design of it, obviously, the pieces already existed in Rocom Toys' Mighty Maniacs line of action figures, which was born from a Kickstarter. I think 3 years ago is when they initially kicked off.
Yeah,
And since then, he's introduced more pieces and parts, and then actually just a couple weeks ago finished up his most recent Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
So I reached out to him and said, hey, what can we do here? How can we do this? How can we turn this into a thing? And so he sort of gave me the templates for those parts, and I picked out all the colors and the design and said, can we go? It does absolutely kind of look like Gizmo Duck, but it's all inspired by the laser tag helmet that we have in the background of all of our videos, and then that logo, that skull logo.
I was gonna say that was so serendipitous, because the first time I saw that, I was like, oh man, I think I could do something with that. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
But
and so of course I'm a big fan of translucent plastic, so there had to be some translucent plastic in there. And Rocom Toys, he was very great. He was very he helped out a lot with sort of consulting, this might work better this way, this might work better this way. And I'm like, yep, I trust you implicitly, you know what you're doing, please, thank you. Help me out here. And then I did the illustration for the box. It was colored up by Eric Canetti, and we just sort of put it together, and I was very pleased with the result in hand. And if I didn't sell any of them, that would have been disappointing, but I was very happy that we actually did sell through that whole run pretty quickly.
I was gonna say, you did it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you moved it, you did it.
It was, I will say this, I was unexpectedly pleased with it, because I also thought I was just doing sort of a thought experiment, just sort of like let's just see what this is. Let's see what happens. But once I had that thing in my hands, I was like, you know what? I'm actually pretty proud of this. And I'm excited that we did this. And so, of course, we sold through them pretty quickly, immediately put in an order for a restock, which just arrived yesterday. And then also there's a new accessory pack. None of this stuff is up for sale just yet. Cool. We've got wings. We've got a sword. We have the colossal sword. We have the jetpack wings. We've got a blaster here, which you won't be able to see against my shirt. And then there's another alternate head here. If you check out my, if you go to our Patreon, and none of it's on Instagram yet. If you go to our Patreon, I posted pictures on there today of this stuff, and patrons will always get first crack at this stuff. But SGO2, the second figure in this series of figures, is a collaboration with Toy Pizza. And we just announced that. Yep, we just kicked that off, announced the figure, because I actually had one in hand on our own live stream a couple weeks ago. If you wanted to go check that out and see the conversation that I actually had with Jesse talking about this figure. This is perfect for our conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
I created this character when I was 13 years old, just getting into making my own comics and creating my own characters. So this is Dark Hawk. DARK space HAWK, Dark Hawk, not to be confused with Marvel's Dark Hawk, which was created after I created mine. So if anybody's going to change the name, they should have to change theirs. So we'll see. We'll see how that
mouse man.
Yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Whatever. Let's hopefully they're not watching the show right now. We'll keep this on the DL. But this figure should be arriving any day as well. Again, patrons will get first shot. Anything that's available after that will go up for sale on that same website, secretgalaxy.shop. And then also next weekend, Sunday the 16th, Father's Day, Sunday, June 16th, I'm going to be at Toy Pizza Expo. And if all goes according to plan, I will have both of these figures in hand to sell if anybody wants to buy them directly from me.
That's super cool. And what is your Patreon, Dan?
Just Toy Galaxy. I saw somebody in chat ask why the name change. I assume that was asking about why from Toy Galaxy to Secret Galaxy. It was really just the branding on the main channel. Part of attempting to grow the audience was we wanted to grow out beyond toys and action figures. We sort of hit a limit on what we could do with that, and didn't feel like we were growing the way we wanted to grow, and we wanted to be able to do more with the subject matter out beyond toys, things that had nothing to do with toys or action figures. And so it just made sense to appeal to a bigger audience,
which has become some amazing content, by the way. Like, it legitimately, when I try to like recommend channels to people, I'm like, go here. It's going to give you a deep dive. That's going to be, a good length that you can work to, you can watch if you can pay attention to, but you can also be working on something and you can still learn and have fun.
Even when we were more toy focused, we always tried to be to appeal to a larger audience of people. If you didn't know or care about action figures at all, we wanted to make sure there was some some entertainment value, some just the production quality and the entertainment experience was more than just here's how the elbow bends, here's how the neck bends, here's what this paint looks like. Not that there's anything wrong with people that do that, but that's not what we wanted to stay locked into.
Yeah. Well, and the evolution was awesome. Like, just because, again, you're providing something that there's not a ton of out there, which is deep dives into some of the most obscure corners of nerdery. Like you're an orator of the nerd kingdom. Like, it's that crazy thing.
I honestly, at this point, I look at it as, obviously it's like, oh, historian and whatever. And it's like, yeah, I can't help but be a historian at this point. But for me, it's really at the end of the day, it's more about trying to be entertaining. It's trying to give people, 12 to 15 minutes of some kind of informative entertainment, some value for the time that you spent watching our video. And everything we pick, every subject we pick and the presentation of it, we're trying to find an interesting story to tell that, people will think is pretty interesting, regardless of their own connection to that property.
For sure. Oh, it was my buddy Sage that asked that question. Also, he put the Grouch from my little was my R2 friend People's. Oh, my little People's. There we go.
Nice.
That
works.
Oh, Dan Larson has been on all the toy channels lately, and I love it. So great. Oh, I guess it had to come sooner or later. Any thoughts on the new G.I. Joe releases?
I pre-ordered them all.
Yeah.
So they're good in my book.
Question for you, because this was something that I noticed, and I know I'm a big fan of G.I. Joe, but it's one of those lines that I try really hard not to go too deep on. The Iron Grenadier kind of redesign, like a little modernization there.
I mean, he's been getting redesigned since the first release. If you look at it's not that far off from the 25th anniversary versions.
No, for sure. It was that thing of going, that's cool. I mean, it looks great. Like, I wasn't knocking it. I was just, it's always one of those things of, I know you've been collecting Joes for a while. So
yeah, for sure. You know what? It's funny because when they were originally hitting, that whole plot line in the comics and that rollout of those figures and the toys, that was right about when I was exiting the line and on the verge of exiting collecting as it had been up to that point. But I have a younger brother who's 10 years younger than me. And so I was always able to stay sort of connected through him. Yeah. Hey, I'll walk him down the toy aisle. Oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Maybe you should grab that one instead, kind of guiding what he was picking up. So I didn't collect turtles, but he did. So, there were a few figures that moved over to my pile,
one pouch pre-ordered 12 Iron Grenadiers. Damn.
That's awesome.
That's a lot.
I'm a big fan of the bats. So that golden black bat,
they look so good.
That's aces. That looks fantastic.
I
loved the story of Destro and sort of him going on his own and the gold dome with the cape and all those as far as figure designs were concerned. But yeah, as far as the actual Iron Grenadiers, I didn't have those as a kid, so I didn't have the nostalgic attachment. So once they came out in 25th and successive redesigns and
for sure
additional changes, it's just been an evolving thing the whole time.
I already had 3 people reach out to make a Roddy Piper classified figure because I think it was a JoeCon exclusive or San Diego exclusive back in the day.
One or the other, I'm not sure. Yeah.
But I'm like, well, there's that WCW Ultimate that's out right now, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to track down a couple of those.
Yeah, couldn't you just use a regular Mattel Roddy Piper figure, or are those different scale?
They're slightly bigger, but the head would work if you popped it on. I don't know.
Threw it on the Slaughter body or something.
Yeah. Oh man, Slaughter
Big Boa
is jacked. Yeah, Big Boa would be dope. I saw someone take a NECA head, shrink it, repaint it, and put it on a boa body to make a Rocky Balboa to fight his big boa. And it was pretty neat to see the Joe that never was.
Yeah.
Outside of a file card. But I guess that kind of brings it around to that next point. I know for those who watch your channel, they get to see what you're collecting, what you're into, where your kind of current collector scope is. But for those who haven't gotten to see, what are those lines that kind of trip your trigger right now when you see them?
Yeah, I'm not a completist on any line. There's nothing that I'm trying to get everything on. There's just too much stuff out there, and there's way too much cool stuff.
Yeah,
I certainly don't have the budget stay on top of that. Heck, even if I was just trying to do just all of GI Joe, I don't think I could do that. There's just too much, especially after today. Jeez, again. And I don't know. It really seemed like they were teasing Rattler, and I know that's been rumored for a while as the next HasLab, and I don't
Which
even.
would be dope, but dang.
Would it? I don't know. It's going to be the size of a table. I can't put that thing. It's just so impractical.
I'm the guy on the outside looking in, so it's that thing of like, I would like to see that at a show. Like,
well, so on my shelves over here, which you can't really see all of, but this wall is just one whole thing of shelves. We have a video of it on our second channel, the Dan Larson channel. And I've posted some pictures on social media, but these sort of first two columns right here is whatever I've bought this year. And so it's real easy for me to just sort of look over and see, you know, what I'm actively collecting right now. And it's basically G.I. Joe. I've got the wave 2 of boss fights, or wave 3. I'm not sure which one this was, of boss fights, Saurozoic Warriors.
2 just dropped.
I think. So that's like the Ankylosaurus and the Archaeopteryx and the Night Force Triceratops, whatever. I've got those. I've got my Kickstarter rewards from Savage Crucible.
Very cool line.
And already right out of the gate, I'm not a completist there because I didn't get everything that was released in that first wave.
Well, on that first wave, like if you got all the the Kickstarter exclusives too, wasn't it like 8 figures? I feel like it was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But I met him at PowerCon 2022 and 2023. And, you know, I heard his whole story. He told me, you know, all about how long he had been developing that line and how much money he had put into it and how far down the path it already was and how quickly he was going to be able to fulfill the rewards, which he did once the campaign was completed. But I still, you know, my personal approach to Kickstarters is if I've never actually held one of your figures in my hand, I can't take that much of a risk on the product.
Understand.
Now that I've actually got 3 of the figures in my hands and I can see how amazing they are, it's like okay, now I can trust that whatever I want to buy going forward is going to be awesome.
I think the only one that I ever went ham on was Plunderlings when they first announced them, and my credit card got stolen or something like that, where I had gotten a new card and the messages were going into my spam.
Oh no.
And so it just canceled my pledge. And I was like, oh shit. And I mean, I've been able to get most of them, but those OG Kickstarter
exclusives, there's 2 or 3 that it's funny because Robo every week on the weekly, he'd be like Plunderlings.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what this is. What are you even talking about? And I ignored it for a really long time. And then just before the campaign ended, I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. And my wife was like, yeah, we need to get all of them. And I'm like, I can't afford to get all of them.
Big guy right there.
Nice. I'm like, I can't afford to get all of them. So we went on a couple of them, but now I absolutely regret the all gold one. I don't remember what his name is, but that one, the all red one, there's 2, maybe 3, I think, that I still don't have. And I'm like, unless they reissue them, I don't know if I'm ever going to get them.
It's still that transparent green initial one.
Oh yeah.
Like some of those exclusive ones from the beginning, it's like I've just accepted. I'm like, I'm not gonna get them. That's fine.
They're for anybody who's in the area, they're going to be at Toy Pizza Expo on June 16th as well. So come say hi.
Make sure to go check them out because they teased something.
That's right.
On their Instagram that we may or may not have seen.
So I got some Cosmic Legions and Mythic Legions here. I've got Masterverse, Snout Spout is up there. A couple of Marvel Legends. He's such a great figure. I've got McFarlane's Captain Carrot, the Vamp, so I'm classified. I'm all over the place. I've got Mythic Legions. I've got Boss Fight here. Spiro. I'm all over the place.
Those Spiro toys is coming for my wallet hard. Oh man.
I got my 3-legged Zabu. Cable's in the mail. He should be here this week.
So the funny thing is BBTS had the hey, by the way, your cable's not coming till end of July, maybe August. And I was like,
damn
it. Went down to the show, hit up JCD and Hobby, shout out to them down in Des Moines, and there was a cable on the pegs. I was like, awesome. So I grabbed him, and apparently my phone becomes a brick in Des Moines, Iowa for some reason. So I got out to the car, and it connected to my buddy's car, for Wi-Fi. And it was Big Bad Toy Store was like, hey, this is in your pile of loot. I'm like, I literally was popping on to cancel my pre-order. I'm like, Dang!
Yeah, you
So
can still cancel it. You just take it in credit.
yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my secondary one. I'm going to customize that one into a true X-Force like early 2000s era, like give him the skin. That's so damn
This is
cool.
my this is my Kit Bash Marvel Legends He-Man.
Dude, I saw you post that a couple times. I was like, ah, damn it. What did you use for the forearm wraps?
Those are articulated icons, the
Oh, okay.
ninjas, the Foosh ninjas.
I this this was kind of my one and done He-Man. I was like, ah,
Yeah.
that's freaking cool. The only problem is you need to take the shield and the sword from your first one to give to this one.
Yeah,
So
I tried pulling the bands, his bracelets for this figure, but that dude's just so much bigger. The scale is
yeah,
larger and his arms are just so much bigger. You could probably use them if you like trimmed them down and put a little heat on them and kind of wrapped
the
them a little tighter.
the Hercules ones work really really well for that. I was
Okay, yeah.
looking at that because they are these.
Nice. Yeah.
So they're just
I didn't
simple
get the
ball.
Hercules, so I didn't have
Yeah,
those. I was going through all my figures just looking to see like
take them
did
all.
anybody have bracelets or a
Yeah.
belt of some kind that I could steal? Yeah, for sure.
We've reached the point where going all in on Kickstarter is at least 10,000. Feels like it.
That's true too. Well,
Ricky, come on, man. Give me a break. It's
look,
not like I haven't gone ham on the rest.
the thing with Kickstarters I try to tell people is like, especially when it's the first Kickstarter for a company or for an individual or whatever, it's like you're investing in a company, right? And you need to understand that you are taking on risk there. They might deliver, they might not deliver. Kickstarter is not going to help you. They're not going to protect you. You have to do your due diligence and
Yep.
keep an eye out that for yourself. When it comes to somebody like Plunderlings, who have done it successfully twice now, then you can say, all right, well, just how much do I need to put in for this run?
Well, and that was definitely like, I mean, again, with the first one, just looking at it feels weird that it's a novel concept of saying honesty and being like so upfront with everything of like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on. Oh, we might have had an issue here. That's something that I absolutely love about that company and the folks over there. I mean, I preach the good word of Plunderlings whenever I freaking can. I mean, again, big green bastards just chilling out on the friggin' computer right now. But yeah, I mean, it's fun when you find those companies that you can invest in though too, because you feel, I mean, it's just like a band, like you got in on the ground floor and it's become something amazing.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're lucky enough to back a company like, Four Horsemen in their first Mythic Legions campaign, you might also be rich now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's all those figures are worth so much.
I shit you not. I have a friend who sold off all those figures to buy himself a new car.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Like, huh. But again, it's that cool. That's what I love about toys right now, is because yeah, you got Hasbro, you got Mattel, like you have these companies that are giant conglomerates, but you also have these smaller lines, or it's weird to call Four Horsemen an indie line, but like
sure, yeah,
they're people who bet on themselves and are making a killing doing it and doing something absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they were able to identify a need in the market that just wasn't being met, and a lot of that came from what they themselves wanted to see in action figures. And the Four Horsemen were looking around going like, how come nobody's doing this?
Yeah,
let's do it. Like, why don't we do it? And they were right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, before Mythic Legions, we had trying to scour Toy Biz Lord of the Rings figures.
Exactly. Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many freaking D&D characters for friends, for birthdays and stuff. I ripped apart so many fucking Legolases, man.
Oh yeah, heck, and even now, I will still if I happen to come across Toy Biz Lord of the Rings figures, I'll still strip them for stuff.
They're so good.
Fur capes and helmet pieces, all their weapons, swords, axes, and stuff, all that stuff. Yeah.
Those horses still hold up too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like the Mythic Legions horses are beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I got those NECA samurai turtles from Turtles 3, and I am probably one of 5 people who are like, yeah, woo, let's go. And I was like, I cannot afford $200 for four
no, yeah.
But sorry, I didn't.
Well, they're good. There's different, like horses come in different sizes too, right? So those are like good war horses,
oh yeah.
And then Lord of the Rings, you got your faster, sort of smaller horses, and I'm sure
There's
my
the
wife is
McFarlane horse
yelling at
that
me from the other room, telling me what the names of those horses actually are. That's
says,
types of
"Hi."
horses.
I was gonna say, man, if I've learned one thing in all my years in toy collecting and nerddom, never piss off a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
I
I mean, as a horse person, she loves horses.
okay,
So
fair,
she's like, well,
fair.
this is this kind of horse. This is this kind of horse.
I sorry, I was going with yeah, whichever way, really. But
Technically, she's both Lord of the Rings and horse person. Hang on, I'm getting a text right now.
yep, yep. Uh-oh. Oh, Mitch says horses of a different colorway, if you will. I have one Mythic Legion horse and one McFarlane horse. That is enough for me. That McFarlane horse is cool, but I legit have put figures on there and the leg has fallen off. And it's like,
Is
oh
that
god,
which horse is that? Is that the black
it's
Batman one or?
it's yeah, I think it's the Batman one. I actually got it at a swap here, so I'm pretty sure it's that one because it doesn't have the like rifle holster that
Okay, yeah,
the gunslinger spawn
yeah,
had.
because I think they've done 3 horses. I think
Yeah,
McFarlane did the Build a Batman one,
and Witcher.
and Witcher, yeah, the
Yeah.
Roach horse. That's the one I have is Roach.
Which that's a beautiful one. Never saw it in stores.
Yeah, I saw it once and I grabbed it.
Yeah, it was one of what is your Venom horse? When? Soon enough. After the leg fell off, did you take it to the oh, Shaggy. Come on, man.
Just applied glue.
Yeah. You are what you never mind, not going down that path either. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the other fun thing too, is also you have companies like Four Horsemen where they're like, you want a bear? How about a moose? It's like, yeah, I do want that. And then how many companies are friggin' putting out panda figures in the next like 6 to 7 months? Like,
hey, look, it's we're in a golden age of action figures right now with stuff across the board, like to a detriment for a lot of people. If you're a Ninja Turtles fan,
dude,
may God have mercy on you, but but then you get weird
over there.
You're getting weird things like the Yellow Park, Transformers and Haya Toys GI Joe and Mezco GI Joe, and like a lot of these companies are loosening up on the licenses because they're seeing that there's this bigger market out there for the stuff, and they don't need to keep that iron grip on it,
and they want money.
Because they want money, and the value isn't there the way it used to be, where they could make 1 million units at 5 cents a piece and sell them for $4. It's a different industry, it's a different market, and they're selling to a different kind of collector.
Sorry, hold on. Mind, I bring that back in here. Sorry, my wife walked in and said, I did my own unboxing. I don't know what I just did.
Uh-oh.
Well, just ceiling. Oh. Well, because we're doing construction on the house, she just pulled that out of the ceiling, I guess.
Okay. All right.
There you go. I'll look at that later.
Is that connected to anything?
I'm not gonna worry about it.
I'm gonna throw it away.
Okay. Is anything beeping or smoking?
Yeah, it was. Dude, at our old house, we had a Sears Roebuck security system that was in the basement that on one power outage, all of a sudden we had a security alarm going off in our basement that we didn't even know was in there. That was good.
Yikes.
Good. Oh, damn it. I need to find that moose now. That is something else I need to find. That moose is
Alder. Yeah. I keep it. I'm watching those antlers because I don't trust that they're not going to sag over time. The plastic is just too heavy.
Well, the amazing thing to me is the way that they made the peg system. I do feel like it has almost a slight ratchet when you peg them in. That I think will hold it a lot longer than I certainly expected it to do. But I feel like,
I mean, it's fine, but I look at it every day and I just keeping an eye on it.
I have it behind. Okay, I'm from Minnesota. We have some woodsy shit upstairs. I've slowly snuck stuff up into like the living room.
Yeah.
Like, you'll never know. The other night, my aunt was like, "Why is that fucking moose up there?" I'm like, "Moose in the woods."
Yeah, it's just part of the decor. It's just a moose.
It didn't help that I then followed it up with the moose is loose. She's like, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of the fun things too. Also that I want to give you all the props in the world for too, about your channel, is because you shine the light on some really obscure shit, man. It's really fun to see people like, hey, did you know about Teen Machine? It's like,
yeah.
I mean, yes, but tell me more. What did you find fascinating about that? Like that shit's amazing.
Yeah, it's tough because once you start looking at all the numbers and stuff and trying to play the stupid YouTube algorithm game, which we're trying to escape from by,
Yeah.
doing more with our Patreon. And,
Yeah.
but once you start sort of paying attention to that, you have to try to figure out what's going to actually get views, what's going to actually put up numbers to maintain your sort of ranking in the algorithm. Otherwise, your channel's going to get buried. And it's very hard when we want to do something that is obscure.
Yeah.
Rubik, the Amazing Cube, Turbo Teen, all that stuff. It's tough because we want to be able to do those things, but then we have to have this sort of discussion about, like, do we think it can hit X number of views in a certain amount of time, or do we have to go for something that's safer and more reliable?
Yeah. I mean, I do live streams on YouTube. Like the algorithm just kind of goes and
Yeah.
off it goes. But no, I totally understand. Like that's been the fascinating thing and kind of sad thing about this platform is a lot more. You have to really seek out, even if you're subscribed to channels, you have to seek out what you want to look for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Opposed to like, oh, these are.
I will never understand all of these social media platforms, and Instagram is as guilty of it as any. That it prioritizes showing you stuff from accounts that you don't follow over accounts that you do follow, as if the goal is to just get everyone to follow every account that exists. Like, and then they just show you all Mr. Beast's stuff. I don't know.
I don't know.
Any of this works. It's just stupid.
We got like just a couple minutes left.
Sure.
I want to shoot it over to a couple. We'll open it up to a couple questions.
Yeah, please.
Real quick, if that's all right by you. And Brian Merchant said, Dan, being in New Hampshire, do you ever find anything in store?
Nope. Absolutely not. No, very occasionally I'll get very lucky. Once every couple of months. I got lucky when those 3 movie Spider-Man Marvel Legends figures came out, the Tobey Maguire, what's his face, and the other guy. When those 3 figures hit, Robo had posted his review. And he was like, "Oh, I just found these in store," and I like paused his video and ran to the store. Oh no, it's what he had posted on Instagram, and I immediately ran to the store, found them there, bought them, posted them, and then he posted his video. That's like the most recent time that happened. And what was that, like 6 months ago?
Yeah,
I mean, I never find anything. My local stores still have like the first waves of those Jazzwares, the mini sort of action fleet style Star Wars vehicles.
Oh, geez. Okay.
They still have the first wave, and they're just never going to put anything new out. So the answer is no.
Fair. Also, what are your thoughts on YOLO Park Optimus?
He's a little more fiddly than Megatron. I really liked Megatron for sort of how simple it was. Optimus really upped the amount of articulation and the number of pieces you had to put together to build this thing. But it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very, very happy that I have it. And between this and Earthrise Optimus, probably done buying Optimuses for hopefully a very long time, because I don't really know what else could come out that I would be interested in.
No, for sure. I with Transformers again to try and restrict, because this is me trying to control crap. I got I'm trying to remember. It's a Lewin Atlas 01 Optimus. So it's a true 1/12 scale.
Oof.
Optimus Prime. So he's like, he's like 3 feet tall.
I've seen pictures of that. Yeah, it's huge.
You can't see him right now. He's literally straight back through the Wildcats on card figures, because I'm that guy. But that's my one Transformer, and I'm like backing away.
I like Transformers. I had a lot G1 when I was a kid, and since then I've bought lots of Transformers over the years.
Yeah.
After Optimus, Megatron, Soundwave, and then it's a huge drop off before there's other characters that I'm that invested in. So if YOLO Park, I already have the Megatron, I have the Optimus. If they do Soundwave, I'm in. Anybody else, and I'm probably just not interested.
For some odd reason, Soundwave and Bumblebee were like, I loved both those characters. I love the designs. Like I've tried to figure out how to scale one with that Lewin one, but I'm like, I'm just gonna. That's something down the line. But
I don't need that.
Yeah, it's like, I got Optimus that I have Snake Eyes and Lion-O standing on his shoulders, and I'm like, there we go.
Perfect.
Lucas says, I want YOLO to do Starscream and Grimlock Dino mode.
Yeah, they're definitely doing Starscream. I figure the first 6 figures are going to be the 6 figures that they did in those mini scale ones.
Up to the
Optimus, Megatron, Soundwave, Starscream, Grimlock in robot mode, I think it was. And then there was one other who I can't remember off the top of my head now. But there was one other. There was 6 figures. It was 3. Oh, Bumblebee.
There you go.
Because it was 3 Autobots and 3 Decepticons. I assume those are going to be the first 6 figures. So
probably. Oh, Brian just said Yellow already showed Starscream. There we go.
Yep, there you go.
But we are coming down to the bitter end. So real quick, Dan, I want to give the floor to you so you can tell people where to find you, as if they don't know where already. But
yeah, I mean, we already talked about the figures, so thank you for letting me promote that a little bit. I did recently start doing a weekly podcast with Jay Glatfelter of Geek Dad Life. He did a podcast for a real long time called Toy Geeks. And his previous co-host, John, opened up a toy store almost exactly a year ago. I think he just passed his 1-year anniversary. So John opened up his own toy shop and had to sort of bail out on the live streams and the podcast. And so Jay just kind of threw it out on his on one of his shows one day, like, oh, I'm thinking about bringing this podcast back. And I was looking to get in on a podcast that I didn't have to have any responsibility for.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show up, turn the mic on, talk for an hour, and then leave, and let somebody else handle all the other stuff. So I was like, Jay, message me.
Hell yeah, dude.
And so we record that every week. I think we just put out the 3rd episode. They're usually posted on Tuesday. That's today. So today's episode was with Pixel Dan.
Oh, cool.
Who I believe is on a live stream right now. Don't you dare click over to it. He's on What's On.
They're already there. They're already
there. You can catch them on the replay. But the sort of theme is we're going to go series by series. So for season 1 of this podcast, we're doing Masters of the Universe in order year by year. So episode 1 was 82, episode 2 is 83, episode 4 is 84, so on and so forth. So it was great to have Pixel Dan on to talk about Masters of the Universe toys, because he's that guy.
Dude, for sure. So make sure to go check that out. I did try to link everything in the video description below. I will add the link to the podcast and the store, just because I didn't get those in the video description.
Awesome. Thank you. Obviously, YouTube every Thursday at 5:00, Secret Galaxy, and then we're on Patreon at Toy Galaxy, and then my Instagram is Toy Galaxy. Just if you look for Toy Galaxy or Secret Galaxy or Dan Larson, you'll find me. I'll be there. You'll find me.
Man, don't be tempting people to find.
And then we've got Toy Pizza Expo on the 16th, and then the following weekend I'm at Joe Fest in Augusta.
Just Dan, good luck at Joe Fest if anyone shows. There you go.
I hope so. I hope not. I hope so, but I hope not.
Fingers crossed, man. You never know. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe somebody's got 2 and they'll be like, hey, you should have one. And I'll be like, thanks, man.
It's where you just run up and go, I will fight you. Yeah. You got the stature, man. Use the height. It works.
Cancel my plane ticket and drive home with that thing.
Yeah. Right on. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on,
Absolutely.
Man. As always, it's always appreciated. It's always fun to talk to you. And again, you're more than welcome anytime. Make sure to go follow, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff to all of his content, because good gravy, there's a lot of it. But if you like my content, I'll be back tomorrow for Gripping and Ripping, a little unboxing stream there. Yeah, you can find me right here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And yeah, all the socials, as always, are linked in the video description below, PO Box, all that fun stuff. Most importantly, find me over at extra-life.org/participant/Dave Wonder. It's a really long thing. I don't expect you to type it in. It's, again, linked in the video description below. Go over there, give some money, help fight cancer for kids. And yeah, catch you next time. Dan, again, thank you, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, as always, folks, be good, be kind. Much love from Minnesota. And yeah, good night.
Later.